what are we going to do?
ready.
We're going to discuss the video put out by Stu Peters and O'Keefe and the others regarding the virtue of supporting the Nazis. Now, for most Americans, you might say that's a non starter. It's worse than a non starter. It's a big pile of shit. And it's ahistorical. These people have shown their ass. They've shown their ass. They've shown their bloodthirsty lust for repression and genocide. More than that, they are the number one supporters of Zionism in this world. If you understand how much trouble the Zionists have gone to portraying this, it's a misnomer, but anti-Semitism in this world. Just Google it. The number of young Zionists that have been caught painting swastikas all over the place in the United States. Just look, as I've just been researching, the 1950, 1951, the extent that the Zionists went to put bombs in synagogues and marketplaces and other businesses owned by Jews in Baghdad and in other parts of Iraq in 1950, 1951. You can Google that also. All the evidence is right there. Why would they do that? Well, they want to, use so-called anti-Semitism to their benefit. Now, Peters and his colleagues chiming right in. There are obvious anti-Jews, racists. Okay? I mean, we could play part of their fucking video. I hope we don't. I hope we link that. You can watch it. Heil Hitler and all this crap. How Peters, how great it was that they burned the books. Well, why is that, Peters? Well, because they were transgender. No, those were communist books. Not only communists, but people like Helen Keller, the great socialist. She's only known in the States as being blind, okay, and deaf, and learned to talk, more or less. I heard her back in the days. I couldn't understand a word. But she was a great, great person. She was able to communicate, blind and deaf. But blind and deaf, she was able to reach the conclusion that, as she put it, we've tried 2,000 some years of Christian, preaching, and we haven't gotten anywhere. So Marxist socialism is a huge upgrade to that sort of thing, which supposedly centers on the soul of man and the individual, consciousness. We need to change the system. Well, of course, they burn her books. They burn Hemingway. They burn every goddamn thing. And none of it, I don't think, I don't exactly know, but none of it had to do with sexual subject.
They said it was
Well,
all
they did
porn.
crack down on the academic institutes that were studying sexuality as a scientific project. They did shut them down. But those books that were being burned were by people that are a million times more intelligent and more ethical than the Nazis. Karl Marx,
Okay, let me just let me just
Lenin.
let me just interject here.
No,
Why
okay.
why I think this video and this train of thought is gaining traction nowadays
It's
is
just falling
because
apart.
is because we've seen what is happening in Israel and Palestine, and what they are doing to the Palestinians is just so beyond. It's
Well,
atrocious.
they're
So it's
using
bringing
that.
back it's
They-
bringing back this idea that maybe Hitler was correct in trying to banish this group of people who think they
I
are
understand. I understand.
better.
But
They
it's
are
not a
choosing
group.
people so they
It's
can
not
do
a
whatever
group.
they want.
All right.
That's
It's
just what I'm saying. I
Elsa.
think that's why this
Hold on.
sentiment is coming up. And wait, actually, let me finish. I mean, it's been a long time since you've been in high school. But now, during my high school years in the early 2000s, I didn't learn about like what Hitler said. I never watched a speech of what Hitler said. I didn't know anything about that. All I learned about was that Hitler made soap out of the fat of the Jews.
No, that's right. Lampshades and all that.
I learned, yeah, that he made lampshades out of their skin. I saw rooms full of hair, that they had shaved, rooms full
All
of
right.
shoes. This is all I learned. I didn't learn
Yeah.
anything else about anything. So it's just like,
Well,
but now wait. Now October 7th happens, and now we have
mm,
mass rapes. Now we have babies baked in ovens. What else? Beheaded babies. And we know those
well,
are
that was
all
by
not
Hamas.
true. Wait a second. Those are not true, right? Those have been
Well,
completely
exactly.
discredited. Wait, but yet our politicians and politicians in Europe are parroting those lies over and over again. And
Right.
what do you want to bet? Those U.S. textbooks for high school are putting that in there. What do you want to bet?
Okay. So sympathy for the Jews. The only problem is
Well, it's not
there
true,
are.
but it's like they're lying.
Well, hold on. Of course
They're
they're lying.
making babies.
If their lips are moving, they're lying. This is obvious, or should be. But like you
Are the
say to the high
lampshades?
school student,
Wait, so the lampshades are a lie too, and the human soap
of course they're
is what we
lying.
learned. Well, that's what I'm
No,
saying.
that's
But if you question that at all, you're anti-Semitic. That's their whole shtick. If you, and that is why this.
Can I give you my shtick? Can I give you my shtick?
What?
I just read six. I've almost
Sorry, I
finished
took
it.
up a couple minutes. My
No, don't be that way. I don't mean to. I see where you're going. It's quite obvious, okay, what you've been taught. And so they see the Jews decimating Palestine and Gaza, and they fall into, I hate the word, anti Semitic perspective. By the way, we could talk about that word.
anything about Israel without getting that label.
Let me go ahead and finish, so I can have the platform. The point here, Elsa, look, the Zionists, they had a few followers. In Germany, they estimate 2% of the Jewish population. In Poland, around 3%. United States, around 3%. And in some other countries, they had a percent or two. Okay. When the Nazis, anti-Semitic, racist diatribe against the Jews, which began in the 30s and during the war, especially after Stalingrad. Okay, 1942, when the Germans really realized, half realized, that they're not going to win the war. But as a consolation prize, they wanted to exterminate the Jews as they set out to do in the Nazi program in the 30s. As a consolation prize, let's go down in history as the one that's cleansed our race. By the way, as Greenstein, and you have to read, I mean, it's 650 pages, but Zionism in what's the title exactly? Zionism in the Nazi era. You have to realize he has presented tens of thousands of footnotes and documentation because that's how many it took to show the Zionist Nazi collaboration. Yeah, I don't use that word loosely. They were part and parcel. They led the Judendraht in all of the Jewish ghettos to suppress opposition, to register, line up, and lead to the train cars, to be shipped to the execution sites. Okay? And these numbskulls, these simpletons.
Did they really have gas chambers? Because I know that's a big
Yes, they did.
contention.
The Eisenkuchen had mobile gas chambers, so that particularly when they set the three Eisenkuchen, especially into Poland and then into the Soviet Union, in the areas they conquered, they exterminated Jews in that manner. They also exterminated them in many other manners. Shooting was the main one.
Yeah, when they marched.
I don't want to talk figures. Hannah Arendt says 5 million. Of course, the official line is 6 million. You know, it was hundreds and hundreds of thousands and millions of Jews were murdered in Europe. I can guarantee you that. There's no question about that. And these people like Peters, O'Keefe, they celebrate that. They're showing their bloodthirsty, dead souls. They can talk about Christianity all they want. They're dead souls. Ignorant sons of bitches. To be kicked to the curb.
Well, I don't even think, they just don't think that happened. I don't think they're celebrating
Holocaust denial. Well, look.
I think that's what they are, don't you? They just deny that happened, and Hitler was just trying to expose
No,
the Jews because
because they
they
don't
were the
know anything.
bankers.
They don't know anything.
They were ruining.
They know what David Irving says, or some other supposed historian. Well, hell, even David Irving's better historian than they are. They don't know that goddamn asshole from the hole in the ground.
Yeah, well, why lie though? I mean, why
But
come up with all these?
they're trying to exculpate. They're trying to exculpate the Nazi regime. That's obvious, isn't it?
No, I know. I'm saying, why did everybody lie about what really happened to the Jews with the human soap and all this stuff that we're learning about? Why?
Well, the soap is ridiculous. Don't focus on the soap.
Well, that's just like what I remember from high school, though.
That's
stuck in my head because we learned about the freaking soap like every year and the lamp.
No. Well, okay, so this is over the top. They're over the top on their side because they want to make it. It's just like the children are killed and murdered, and baked in ovens and all that. Of course, the world you're living in is 100% propaganda. There's no goddamn thing you'll hear. What?
Like October 7th was blown over the top. They talk about how Hamas exterminate the Jews.
Of course, it's propaganda. This is their modus operandi.
Yes,
lying. They have time to sit around and invent the lies that will grip the public. This is what it's all about.
But that makes the whole Holocaust suspect because they
do it doesn't.
They do that.
You see, they've created a dichotomy, a false dichotomy. Look, these people aren't stupid. The hoi polloi are fairly stupid, but these professionals, okay, they got psychologists, the staff, they got everything. It's so easy for them to manipulate the narrative, the mind of man. The mind of man is the battlefield of the 21st century, as the Pentagon puts it. You see? And if you don't have some strength there and some critical thinking and some research, I don't mean that one or two books that O'Keefe's read from the Nazi side. I mean some real research. You see, you're going to fall prey to the crap. I'm telling you, it's crap. What?
I'm just saying that's why you get people who are, questioning the whole thing.
They're dumber than
That's just what I'm saying. That's where that comes from.
They don't know anything. This is a big problem. You understand? 99% of the public is completely ignorant. And then they want to talk about democracy. What sense does democracy make in those conditions with the power of the medias, the power of the educational system, and the hegemony of the capitalist class? What sense does it make to have faith or hopes in democracy? It's a joke.
It is a joke. It is a joke, and we're taking out these leaders that we say are dictators, and then just total chaos.
Yeah, well, it's just a word. It's just a word. Yeah, They put a dictator on Gaddafi, a dictator on Saddam, dictator on Assad, dictator. You know,
I think you
this
should have
just
a
one
leader.
fucking word that they get so much mileage because the dumbasses, and I'd hate to think any of them are maybe listening to us now, the dumbasses take one word from the capitalist political establishment and media as something. It's a category. Dictator. Oh, well, I know something about that. That's bad.
Yeah. I mean, Assad, he was a doctor. I mean, the meekest, mildest. Have you ever heard? You're not allowed to listen to him speak. Of course, they never allow you to hear
That's
Assad
a trick,
speak
yeah.
on Western media. Because
No,
if
that's
you
a
listen
trick
to him,
they've used for a long
he's
time.
just the most
You see their mouth
mild-mannered.
moving, and maybe their hands waving, but you never hear what they're saying. This is
A
just an old trick.
doctor. He was born into, the Assad family. He was gonna be the next president, and he took that job. But he was, a really good guy. And the people that they're saying he was a terrible dictator, and he imprisoned all these people, and now they're letting them free. But all those people in the jails were like ISIS and Al Qaeda members who were trying to take over his government. I mean, they weren't like these like.
Yeah, exactly.
He just like was imprisoning innocent people for the hell of it. No, he was imprisoning people who were like out to get him, and who were like chopping people's heads off and stuff. Like it's just it is so crazy how the narrative in the Western media is just completely absurd.
Yeah.
It's just absurd.
Well, part of the trick is that nobody can say, that no innocent people were caught up in Assad's prison system. Nobody can say that. Even if you lived in Syria for 50 or 60 years and paying attention, you can't say that. Nobody can say that, you see. So it's just like, they say it. They say Assad gassed his own people. Well, that's a good one, because that gassing has been 100% debunked, even by the BBC, for God's sakes. You just look at these clowns running around in their studio with their kids, pouring water on them and everything. If you can't see that's fake, you got a problem. You got a big problem. But most people don't even watch that video presentation. They just heard that Assad gassed his own people, including kids.
They just
See, it's too easy. The hoi polloi of this world. Guess what? Whether you're Trumpers or Democrats or liberals or conservatives, guess what? I'm here to tell you, you are the main problem. You. Not them or they, but you. I'll be right back.